Hey guys.
Welcome to Marlin. Let's check all the equipment, make sure everything's good. Microphone's good. Check one, two. Good. We have a second camera here today. Let's take a look. Yes, there it is. With which we'll be looking at, hopefully, a moving, working, running Ender-5 S1. I saw that Chuck did a review today of the Ender-5 S1. He got one from a Creality Specialist store, and his review was pretty good. Pretty good. He didn't He didn't complain about some of the stuff I have to complain about. Definitely complained about the UI, which is one of the things that you know could use some work. The AI is definitely AI UI. I'm doing so much AI lately. Yeah, the user interface on this is definitely leaves a lot to be desired. He didn't mention that it doesn't do folders. That might be important to you as a user of a printer. Out of the box, this thing can't do folders on your SD card. So if you have 100 files, you have to scroll through in a ridiculous way on that screen. It's not usable. It's just not. Um, so yeah, that's one of the things I will be aiming to fix if I can. Mainly, our last stream I was on for hours, and about as far as I got was cleaning up the code. What we have on screen today here, as you can see. Oh, sorry, Amber Alert every day. This is Texas. We have Amber Alerts every day. A 6-year-old kid has been Amber Alerted. Yeah, every day, bloody Texas has an Amber Alert because I don't know, lack of self-control, a lot of family court issues. I don't even know. Let's see what's going on here. Um, I live in Texas, so you get what you get. Let's see. Turn on my little lights. Get the atmosphere. It's important to have atmosphere, and then I'll get back to work on the next stage. So what I noticed was a lot of the code that was added by Creality is very specialized code about the display, and it's scattered all over the place. And I'm like, okay, clearly I need to do something like make. A lot of these might be connected to standard events that your UI would want to reflect. So I'm going to look at, making basically standardized API callbacks for these kinds of events that apparently this type of display wants. See if it fits in with other stuff we already have. And, basically just get to know the UI stuff and what's going on in there a little better. And then move a lot of that code over away, stuff that's like blocks of code all over the place. I'm going to move those into the display code where they belong. And hopefully, I know some of this is also like redundant. There was extra code added for an EEPROM unit that we already have code for, so we don't need to do that again. So yeah, a few things are going to be cleaned up. So that's what I'm aiming for today. And then I don't know, probably take a break, eat some chili. Who knows? But yeah, they're going to get through this as quickly as possible, and we'll see how it goes. All right, I'll be right back while I get my lights and my other things sort of set up and ready to go. If you haven't seen this thing print already, I suppose I could set it up and let it go for do a print or something, but eh. Why? The first print definitely gave me some ideas. One is it has over aggressive acceleration out of the box, and the slicer didn't do anything to tune that when I used Prusa Slicer. I noticed in the configs there were two sets of acceleration values. One was set up with a flag, and that was what they built with, was this flag with a really high acceleration of like 3,000 millimeters per second, which is, I think, too high. Even 1,000 is, that's a nice safe number. 2,000 would be, a decent machine can do 2,000. And I guess if you're talking about like accelerations in motion, our faster super machines now with input shaping can all do like 20,000 millimeters per second or some crazy amount of acceleration. But when you're doing like change of direction and jerk and all that kind of stuff, you really want to tend to avoid that. So that you can get, like, I don't know, just you don't want things like jerking, as it goes and shaking the machine if you can avoid it. So S-curve acceleration and things like that, I'm going to try those out. But first I need to just get it updated to 212 so that I can also try out input shaping, which would be really fun. And this will be my first real, intensive test of input shaping on this machine. And that'll be interesting. I'd love to see how well it performs. I don't think I'm going to get a 20-minute Benchy. Ideally, that would be great. But I think I could get it down pretty far, though. I don't know how long it takes to do a Benchy now. I suppose that could be something I could do as a benchmark before I update it. I think, as I recall, Benchies take about an hour and a half. This other piece I printed, which was my first test print, was actually a phone stand, and that took something over an hour. So I could use that again as my test. It's a lot of straight lines, so it would give me a chance to test some of those longer moves and see if it reaches the peak speeds, and just go for those limits and see what kind of limits there are. But yeah, definitely the jerk was bothering me because it is high and it doesn't need to be that high, or the acceleration and maybe even the jerk too. I don't know, but you can definitely, every time it changes direction, there's like a big clunking sound. You can really feel it. So it'll be nice to get this sorted out. Anyway, on we go. Let's see, there it is. There's our baby. Yeah, so if you've played with this one, you will have seen the crappy interface and stuff. But I'll show that off to you maybe before just before I do the update. I'll show what's the before and after, and hopefully the after will be slightly better than the before. I'm not going to do a huge amount of updates on it, but I do want to play around and just get used to what the UI is and how it works. And what's going on there as far as the touch. I believe it's all driven by serial. I did notice that, yeah, when it does a start print, it is just sending M23, which means that it's relying on the firmware to talk to the SD card. And it's not just acting as a host and sending, the code from the SD file you selected over without giving Marlin a chance to intercept it and all that. So it looks like it's doing it as a normal SD print, which gives me some hope that this UI will be hopefully completely and totally customizable. I did notice also that the way it's writing text on the screen, it probably is amenable to language translation, so that'll be good. Anyway, I don't know why I kept that there. It's just distracting. So yeah, let me grab all my crap and I'll be right back. I think I'm caffeinated enough. Hopefully. Okay, let's see. Good to have my tablet here. And I guess I'll pull up the video so I can watch the chat. If I'm subscribed to myself. What? Have I not subscribed to myself? Oh wait, there it is. I do, okay. There we go. There, that'll let me see the chat. So yeah. Hey guys, so welcome to another Marlin live stream, where I work on code and occasionally mumble random things about other things. I've been playing with a little bit of AI lately, but not enough. I did mention that, like your chat GPTs and things like that. People love that stuff. Right? Oh, I see. It was open in my other browser. Neat. Okay, so let's bring Discord into this thing. I'm a little behind on issues. Apologize for that. I know some folks have been like, maybe have urgent bugs they really want fixed and addressed, but you know, my turnaround time for like your particular bug may be pretty slow given whatever else I'm working on. And this little project has been definitely on the more demanding side just because the code itself is not, you know, it's not ideal. It's not ideal. But here's where we are. I took all the, they started with Marlin 208.2, so that's where I began. They had a bunch of pre-built bins included, so I just put those in their own commit. There's a bunch of stuff that was added to support the board, and then I guess some other things where white space changed. Those probably don't count for much, but yeah, and then some other things like actually got altered, like this LD script here, crowdy.ld, like they changed the origin and stuff. Clearly I need to make it like so that this only pertains to this. It should just be this one and not that one. It looks like it is the same, 4896, hopefully. In which case we don't need 64, I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on with this, but it's definitely changing it to 1 quadruple O. So we'll figure it out. It also says ROM, which is that just means flash, I think, in this case. Anyway, yeah, all these kinds of things. There's a new platform, a new board, or I should say a new variant, a new board, and that falls under this name. And then these are all just white space changes, I guess. Then a few flags for features and other things. So I'm trying to building up the standard way that we do this. That's kind of what I'm going for. Then there's configs, and then a few changes to the conditional. Also, it was named RTS available, and I think I renamed it to something else, Crowdy_RTS, I think. But I guess maybe it got that change got lost, so I'll have to redo it. And then, oh, these are maybe the change. Yeah, I did change it to Crowdy_RTS here. So yeah, and these are just like, I'm just reviewing all the code changes that were made beyond just like the additions, because there are, and like I said, there's lots of insertions. And you can see here, like all these have just been altered. Like we've decided that this is, you know, Y enable write low. You know, we've just decided that this is how we're going to go here. So I need to look at this and see what's up with that. Maybe the enable signal is reversed. Evil Gremlin is on the hook. What's going on? So that's a change that, you know, I just can't. That's the thing. You can't just merge these and be like, yeah, that applies to everybody. I have to definitely, you know, apply these changes only to, only to the Ender and no one else. So that's the aim, is to get this cleaned up to that point where it's done properly. And then once it's cleaned up and done properly, I can also, you know, take the next step. So as you can see, there's all kinds of funny things, like it's like, why is this set up this way? It's not needed because, you know, this is for like when you won't have bed leveling enabled. Why would you have the z-values array at all? It's just there as a dummy, basically. But it may be that for some reason that dummy value is needed for their purposes, which is like a faux leveling or something like that. I think that's what's going on there. So we'll look at that and see why they've borrowed, why they've changed z-values and things. Here's another new thing called z-coordinate offset, but actually we're going to be working on, we don't need a z-coordinate offset. Marlin has that already. So, you know, what does it mean that this is being added? I don't know. BL touch Z limit. And I noticed also, yeah, Chuck mentioned in his review that the machine does this leveling move to the bottom, and it has a probe on it. so that's silly. If we just probe, we should just turn on probe, leveling with probe and all that. So that's what I'm going to do. Find, or is it called homing with probe? Oh yeah, there it is. It was there a second ago. Yeah, there it is. Use probe for z-homing, yeah. So you can just do this if you're not sure that it's enabled. Of course, we can check that just by doing another build. And let's make sure I got my tool set here ready to go. Looks like I do. We'll just do a quick build. And while we're doing that build, I will check and see if this is enabled. And I guess I can just do it here at the bottom of Marlin core, which is usually where I do stuff like that. If enabled this thing, then error. Hey! End of. Oh, something. Debug echo message. Clearly not available at this time. You have to include debug out for that. Oops. I don't know why I have too many things open. I keep switching between the wrong things. So yeah. Yeah, so normally if you want some debugging, we stick it at the top or near the top. And you just use this flag called debug out. If you really want to debug, you can set it to anything that like enabled, if I wanted, I could I could use this as my debug out value. And then when you include the debug out, which I guess is core / debug out.h from here, it automatically enables either a dummy or regular macro for you. If you've ever played with the code base, you may have seen some of this stuff. And so yeah, all these macros are defined, and one of them, actually there is no debug MSG in this version of Marlin, so I'll just have to use debug echo pair or something like that. Also, these get renamed later as well. Right, so instead of debug echo message, we'll just use echo ln pgm. This is all for debugging anyway. As far as I know, there may be some weird thing where like the controller cares about these messages, but I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think it's got that much smarts on it. It should be pretty dumb, but we'll find out. Also, I was screwing around last time, and I decided to throw in an event G-code SD finished, kind of instead of abort, in addition to abort, because, well, it could be useful. I don't know if we actually have that already. I thought at some point we might have added it, but if not, it could be useful, so that may come out of this as well, a little added tiny bonus feature. Okay, now we have this, debug echo ln pgmp. Obviously not good. No such thing, apparently. X, Y, and Z. Too bad that we don't have that. I just have to add it, just for my own convenience. Oh, it's pair, apparently. Well, it becomes PGM later, but for now, that's fine. That's 2.0 stuff. This is still 2.0, which is a slightly different code base from 2.1. Only slightly. Just a few things are different, but enough that, oops. Where is that? Where was it just complaining about? The same place? End stops? Oh yeah, okay, fine. So we still need debug out at the top. Apparently I didn't do that. Oh, and also, let's do we'll just do that here as well. Yes? Yes. Do I know what I'm doing? Yes. And I suppose here's fine. Okay. Let's see if that gives us what we want. Good. Apparently, it is not going to be homing with the probe. Well, guess what? I'm going to set it so it is. There, that's better. And let's just make sure that it builds properly with the current firmware. Should be good. Yeah, that over-aggressive acceleration has just got to be changed. But for now, I'm keeping the changes to the config to the minimum. All right, where are we at? Next. Might need that. Okay, going through reviewing changes. Okay. All right, so the kinds of changes we care about, so many. Like this one here. Yeah, basically anything that's RTS check. Let's just do a quick consolidation. I just want to move this RTS check stuff. So yeah, as you can see, it's RTS._syn data, and you can see it's all over the place, but it's not too bad. I've seen worse. Most of it actually is in LCD RTS itself, which is cool. But what is RTS check? If it is an RTS show. So what's interesting to me is anything that has that's inside the RTS show class itself, it doesn't need the prefix on it. So as we zip down here, is everything in this, yeah, they're all part of the class, except for stuff below here. Anything below line 3026 is can basically keep its RTS check prefix. So once we get down to that point, I won't rip out anymore. But yeah, you can see already, like, most of this code already understands that, as you can see. Are we there yet? Nope. So I heard they're finally adapting Judy Blume into young adult movies, which I think is pretty awesome. It seemed like they couldn't have done that in prior times. That it was, you know, fine if it's in a book, you know, that you know, your adolescent girls can read in private without anybody noticing. But a movie, that's just too much. That's too real. Massage. I would love to receive a massage, please. But let's have a message instead. during zero return, whatever that is, and leveling. I think they mean homing. And K Xiaoliang. Nice name. I assume this is called the nozzle platform height measurement function. Right. Nozzle platform height measurement function. Cool. Interesting stuff going on here. So then you have these RTS underscore. Then you have error handling. Yeah, I assume they mean set all these to 0. Okay. Oh, there's another RTS show. Nope, 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 nope. So anything after line... oh, okay, that's all of them. Excellent. I don't know why these aren't part of the function or the class. Might as well be, right? Unless it's like a standard or something that they've decided on. Anyway, a lot of this does look awful familiar. Now, this isn't necessarily a Creality resistive touchscreen, but everything that's going on as far as the interface is Creality authored, so I'm still going to call it Creality RTS. It just makes more sense. It's more about the implementation than the product itself. But you know, if it turns out there's a way you could buy this screen and have it work, with the Creality code, but not necessarily buying the screen from Creality, that would be cool. We could make it so that it's more generic and then clean it up so it's less Creality centric. There's if you look at the assets and stuff that Creality sent me, there's a lot in this thing, like the animation of the title when you boot up and all that stuff is there. It's a big bunch of crap. Okay, so Z axis offset. Okay. Field touch detects the origin and uses the limit switch to detect the coordinates of the offset. This value is used to compensate. So I don't know that they need this. Again, we have ways of dealing with, I mean, your probe offset has to be accurate to begin with, right? And then once you home, it should know where 0 is at that point for your nozzle based on your probe offset. But if your probe offset is wrong, then the printer could still compensate for it, sort of, once you've done your baby stepping and stuff. But yeah, your starting height is gonna, unless you have it right, your starting layer is gonna suck. It's not gonna be in the right place. So it'd be nice if we could do more around that stuff to auto calibrate. But generally speaking, like one good way to deal with it is just to have a very stringent standard. You always have a definite Z offset for this probe with this machine, and then you know what it's definitely going to be, and you just make sure it's always calibrated that way out of the factory. But apart from that, and what is this? Oh, okay, yeah, gotcha. Yeah, that's just me. I'm just not fond of... enums are built a certain way, right? And then these, are these meant to be, it looks to me like these have to be pretty much, you know, there could be some that get skipped, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. But unless, if these are completely internal and not like values that you get from the screen, like it looks to me like you're probably getting these values from the screen here. Let's see. Case. Check key. Where's check key coming from? Check keys in love. I see. It's coming from the address buffer and it's getting it from there. Okay. I have a question. I'll just zoom my screen so I can see all things, read them more easily. Here we go. Back to Gremlin's back to struggle with dynamic menu population, depending on the type of screen. If we're using a menu like Marlin UI style menus, we have a lot of control over what happens in Marlin UI style menus, which is cool. So I see. Right, so as long as your address buff doesn't equal 0, and so on. Might as well leave that in there. It's kind of slightly clearer-ish. Okay, so yeah, everything in here. So let's look at all that RTS check stuff elsewhere. So I add menu host files function. It gets called twice on enter and on each encoder move. Well, there is actually a flag, which is called first. Well, one of the things is, of course, with graphical display, you're going to get called for each stripe as well. So if it's split up into 4 stripes, you're going to get called, for every screen update, it's going to get called 4 times. And so if you spin the encoder, it might get called, 4 times for each time you move the encoder. So there's actually a flag which can be checked, and some menu items do that. It's called first draw or something like that. And or first slice, I don't know. It's in there. I can look it up, but the idea is that you only want to do like check for a button on the first time that the menu handler is being entered at the top of on the first stripe, basically. And any logic that applies to the menu item will only be done once. Of course, you do get, with the way that Marlin UI works and encoders code in general, anytime you move the encoder, if it changes the value of the encoder value, it just calls your menu handler because it doesn't know whether you want to use that encoder to like update a value or move a slider or whatever you might be doing on the screen. So it just calls it. So at that point, you can, check to see what's going on. I actually have something called, I think it's, which menu is it in? It's in menu, it's called like a progress bar test. Test bar. Yeah, this one. The test, and it's in this configuration menu. It's just there to like give a kind of an example of how you would do a little bar on the screen. So probably did that already. So yeah, basically it just sets the thing to the right character set, and then does it do anything with the first? Well, UI use click. So I assume progress bar test is not the, oh, it is the name of the screen. So this is actually getting called on each encoder move. So since it's not too taxing or demanding, it's not very optimized. Let me see if there's a UI.first something. Yeah, first underscore page, there it is. So in the case of my games, for example, for Space Invaders here, it does all the logic on the first page. And then everything else is like, if you press the button, etc., etc. So this could get called, multiple times. So I probably should put that in the first page handler too. And then use click, actually, the convenient thing about use click is it will call is that use click gets rid of the click after it's been detected. So if, for example, the click got detected half, on the third stripe of the screen, it'll still detect it. You can also do stuff like not update the rest of the screen after you've gotten a click, which may be something you want to do. Like, you say you have 3 things that handle clicks and you don't want to detect that click and then use it, and then have the next menu item use it as well. But it depends. Each menu handler can do things in its own way. So it's kind of like, we were kind of experimenting and trying to decide for a while with the menu items. Like, well, we'll just keep adding on and we'll see what works. And eventually over time, those menu items we'll figure out some standard, and then we'll start to make an API around it. So we have gone to some extent in that direction. So yeah, and same, here's a scroll screen, for example. And in this one, this is actually called by some stuff. Well, not called by a lot of stuff. It's called in the screen or menu loop. So yeah, there's some cool stuff that this does, which is, again, all this has been developed gradually over time. So the convolutions originally weren't that convoluted. It just grew that way over time for generalization purposes. In general, I really like kind of like the way that we build menus is kind of neat, because you just go in and just stick a menu item where you want it. And you can put some logic around it if you want. It wasn't always easy to do all the things that we now do with menus, but it's gotten easier over time. Like, here's a sub-menu item and so on. Of course, you have to know what they do, and the best way to deal with it, I found, is just go find an item that's similar to what you want and then copy it and then modify it and go from there. So anyway, let's look at that, what's it called? RTS check dot. Okay, so let's see things like this. Like, what is this? Okay, after we reported the current position, we'll call, so in this case, I'm going to make a thing called RTS. We'll just start adding on here just for my own purposes. So here we have void, and we'll just do RTS update position, and that'll be RTS update position. And this will be the code that goes there. And we'll just keep doing stuff like this until we get there. Meanwhile, is current position seen? Apparently it is. So it's already being referenced. Okay, that's funny. We're just doing the cleanup bit here. Yeah, I can see a lot of cleanup I could do here. I'll try to limit myself so I can make a little bit of progress, but it's tough. I have a lot of OCD when it comes to certain elements of the code style. I just want it to be, it's supposed to fit the style, man. But yeah, I get that it's not always clear what the style of Marlin is, since we have a few different styles intermingled. But generally speaking, we've settled on various standards. They're I wouldn't call the crazy macro stuff necessarily. Oh, look at this. Update position is right there. How about that? Right, look at this stuff. What is this? I just want to make sure I got a debug here. Do I? Yes. Okay, good. As long as I'm cleaning up here. Yeah, there's a lot of debugging going on in this thing, which I'm sure is not needed. I believe I did make it so that the debug outs, if they're not anything, they are still an empty loop or something like that. Action item SF first, and want to stick to it. Yeah, I've been meaning to, like, if you want, add comments on those things, because I could definitely use better comments on those macros. I know I was thinking about, yeah, it'd be good to be able to actually know what the hell they're doing and have it well documented so it's quite clear how to use them. We always go for the higher level ones, the menu that calls the macro that calls the macro or uses the macro or whatever. Little Chinese to English translation here. Call save data to save the measured data. Yeah. So this thing does automatically have this, like, saving to EEPROM when you make changes. And I've been meaning to actually add a flag to Marlin that you could, like, turn on, and it would set up everything so that whenever you make changes in the UI, it would just save them to EEPROM for you automatically. But if you're using, like, live editing, you want to make sure to have not just, like, keep changing it every time you turn the knob one tick. You don't want to keep writing to the EEPROM like that. And rather than, it would be better if it waited a couple seconds until after you've edited, and then, or switched back to a different screen or whatever, and then save it. The measurement action is completed. Okay. I assume that's probing. Probing. Received. Yeah, sure. Received. Neat. Okay, so we do have this. And let's see. Oh, here's another one. Update position. See, I knew those come in handy. These things have been overused. Like, why wouldn't they have done this already? As a good principle, my Chinese friends, is if you find yourself repeating a lot of code a lot, little blobs, make a function. Call it just, and then that way it's a little clearer, and then you can use it externally as well. That's kind of like how many places it used. Apparently that was it. And then this one is sending just X apparently, and that one's sending just X as well. So, could be reasons for that. And then you have this kind of thing. If it's less than X min, send it's X min. If it's greater than X min, okay, fine. So we have a limit macro for that kind of thing. And it just makes it easier to, less repetition, less chance for typos, and just makes me happier. So same with Y. And apparently this thing called constrain, which is actually a built-in or part of something that we include. So yeah, you could do that instead. And that's interesting that you have this line to current stuff and a delay of 1 millisecond, I guess, microsecond. And here we have motor free icon VP. So I don't know why that has to be sent after the Y. Maybe it does. I don't know that it actually does. But if it didn't have to be, I would see this is being done in both cases. So it's like, why not just do that always and not have an else? But okay, fine. Meanwhile, right. Uh-huh. And same thing here, I believe. X max pause. Actually, there's a better choice there than X max pause. Maybe. And why they wanted to make it -8 here, I'm not sure. Oh, more Amber Alerts. Sorry. Yeah, we get way too many Amber Alerts in this town, I tell you. There's another one. No, same Amber Alert. Oh wait, different license plate. It's been changed. Yep, 6-year-old white female and 9-year-old white female. 60-year-old white female suspect grandmother, and her name is Jane Burns. Well, hey, there you go. Amber Alerts. Between Amber Alerts and Spectrum outages, I don't know what I love better about this town. Okay, so constrain, yeah. So we have constrain, and then here's current position is same kind of thing. So let's go with that. 0.1f times rec data 0, and yes, that will be promoted. Voila. So just a little bit of pedantic cleanup here before I get through this, but yeah, ultimately what I want to do is go all over the place and find all those RTS check calls and bring them all over, not just this one. Current position, E, filament unload, filament load. Current position Z, I'm going to go with 10.0F just to be on the safe side. Okay. Test offset. Yeah, there's a lot of test code in here and stuff. And then, yeah, debug. Oh, there's a little translation. Coordinate at this point should be blah, blah, blah. Wait for going home. Homing. Set. Homing. Oops. Homing. Homing. Okay. And might as well get all the Chinese out of here that I can, just so I know what's going on. Right, operating. So yeah, I do appreciate people with different code styles coming in and doing their thing. I remember early on there was a bit of like, let's discuss what kind of line endings and tabs to use, and or that kind of thing. And as the person I knew was going to be like working on this all the time, and like mostly having to deal with the code base, I was just like, everybody has an opinion, and I don't think it's worth discussing. I've decided it's going to be this. It's going to be what it is currently, and it's going to stay that way, and that's just what we're going to do. And I just never. It was a time when I liked tabs, for example, and I've just grown to really hate tabs, at least as part of like code editing. I like tabs in a word processor because you actually make tab stops, and you're like, go to that tab stop. But tabs as a replacement for 4 spaces or whatever, like it never works. You go to look at the thing on GitHub and they put 8 spaces, or you go to do some editing and then you're putting spaces and tabs mixed together, so you've got space tab, and then you go to do some kind of change and then it's all out of alignment, and it's just silly after a while. So I think the people I was discussing with took it as being me being a stonewalling asshole, and I was just like, no, it's just it just is what it is. I just had to put my foot down and be like, no, we're not discussing it. It's done. But whatever. I was certainly fully cognizant of the fact that I might alienate somebody with that kind of attitude, but it's like, again, it's one of those things. You make an executive decision, people aren't going to always like it, and you might lose some valuable contributor, but it's there's not much you can do about that. So not that we did lose any valuable contributors or anything. People who really loved the project stuck with it, and we're willing to put up with the nonsense. Some of the nonsense. I don't think there was that much, honestly. I've tried to be very straightforward. I'm just hard to reach generally, just because my hours are all over the place, and I have no life. Like I need someone around to keep me honest. Hey girls, I'm single. Hey ladies, I'm single and I need to be kept honest. Help me out, would you? But I kid. I'm not sure I'm that interested in that sort of thing. I have the opposite problem of the incel. I'm involuntarily uncelibate most of the time. It's like, damn it, how did I end up in this relationship again? In one of these relationship things again. Oh my God. So this looks like it's the translation table for we were looking at earlier. That goes up until it's a 0. So that's interesting. I'm curious what that's all about. Well, it says it's got like, I guess it's letters and stuff. And what's this proccom thing here? Apparently nothing. Well, it may be. It's an enum, so all these are whatever they are. Main enter key, case, main enter key, check key, int. Okay, so it's an int. And if we wanted, we could make it a let's do that. 8 space indent, yeah. 8 space tabs. I mean, I'll tell you one place I do like 8 space tabs is with like assembly language. That's maybe the only place I like it. It gives you enough space for a reasonable label, reasonably length label. Usually, I don't know, I probably use 2 tabs anyway in those cases. I might even set them to like 16 sometimes in those, like, just to be even with, because you have to double each time. It just has to be a power of 2. But but in general, like, yeah, I think in assembly it's great because, yeah, there you have very definite, each column actually has a meaning. It's like first column labels, second column, or directives, second column directives and mnemonics, and third column, or after a space you've got your operands, and then the next column is comments. And some assemblies languages will even, like, they don't care if you put any semicolon or anything before your comment. They'll just be like, after this column it's a comment, as I assume it's a comment, and like it'll just basically ignore everything after the operand. So here's check key, and I'm going to use proc command T. Oh, check key, hold on. I can't make it uint. I have to make it a proper int. And we could go with none, although I don't know, maybe none isn't the best. I'll just go with no key. I know, it'll be very surprising if no key isn't defined somewhere too. Like some header somewhere. Okay, so there you go. Oops. I meant to say no key. No key. There you go. Okay. If not receive flag, return -1 kind of thing. Yeah. Rec data. And yep, sure enough, it's reading from LCD serial. And fascinating. All right, we'll learn more about this as we go. Next. So I think I've pretty well dealt with the position thing. Equals -1, equals -1. Cool, not a lot of that. Okay. Fascinating. Fascinating that there's so many things that end in _VP. I'm not sure what the VP is about, but I do see that a lot. Right. Enter the leveling page and turn off the automatic compensation first. Okay. Sounds good to me. Looks like you're doing it twice. Let's see. Send the data. I don't see a reason to do that twice there if it's being done once. I'm going to take it out because I think that's silly. Probably doesn't even need to be here. Let's just say, since it's down here and grouped all the other crap. And then, yeah, that will turn off leveling. So yeah, I noticed also one of the things is that the machine, this particular machine, was set up to turn leveling on at boot up. And I'm like, no, don't do that. We don't want leveling on until you've actually turned it on. Now I kind of get why, I kind of see why you might do it that way, but I think it's important for users to have control over that, and not to have that assumption. It's just a strange assumption. It's not the typical assumption. So yeah, keep seeing that kind of thing. Not that that's a big deal. Okay. I don't know. Is fan? Let's go with fan on. So it's like toggling the fan. That's interesting. And actually we have a new option for this, so I'm gonna have to remember to like to do use fan max speed. So we actually have a fan max PWM now, but I'm not sure if this actually, come to think of it, I think there is one that gets scaled. So when you set it to 255, it actually or 100%, it actually scales it. Am I right about that? I'll have to check. It would seem to make sense, but like when you go, like you wouldn't want it to say, oh, we're only going to set it up. Like when you go to set the fan to 100%, it shouldn't stop at 80 and then show on the screen 80. It should show 100. So I'm thinking that it's probably scaling it to the whatever max PWM you set. And then when it's at max PWM, it says 100, even though it's not at the highest energy level or speed or PWM that the fan could probably take. But the point is to keep it a little quieter, because max PWM oftentimes is just loud, or it's not PWM at all actually. Sometimes 255 could be continuous on, which may not also be what you want. So yeah, you mess around. I am working on like a new fan class to replace the current system where it's built into, it's part of the thermal manager class. So this is interesting. Right, so again, serial echo line PGM, and then an OK. What's the OK printed for? Is that part of power off? Maybe this was necessary as something, but... And it may be that this informs the host, but again, we don't necessarily broadcast when we serial echo. I have a feeling this is like debug echo stuff. Anyway, in Q now, if I recall, can you do one? Do you have to do one command, or can you do two? As I gather, I did this kind of thing before. Ah, okay. Well, I'll compare to the original a little bit and just quickly see. Is this the one from Creality? No, this is Moine. Where have I put it? Hello. Oh wait, I know. Recently, the other D-Win. There we are. Good. So yeah, this is... Yeah, so it's already that way. So, okay. I just wanted to check it all over the place, and looks like nothing else is doing that. So I guess I should know this by now. Right. Never call from a G-code handler. Queue from program memory and return only when they're actually in queued. Now, this is one of the problems with this, is that you can cause your a long delay depending on the situation. Most of the time it's okay, but and it also is a queue in Q1, so yeah, it only queues a single G-code command. Oh, it does look like it's doing the yeah, it does look like it's actually enqueuing multiple commands, so it just won't return until they're all enqueued, I guess. So again, the more commands you have, the more likely it is to get stuck there while it waits for the buffer to empty. So be careful with these commands. I mean, you'll notice they're not used in a lot of places in Marlin, and that's one of the reasons. Oops. It's just it's not the safest thing. But it's been used in the Diga screen handler and other places. And generally speaking, it's what you use when you definitely want a command to be enqueued before going on to the next thing. So what are you gonna do? First page is really about drawing on the screen. The menu, when you're in a menu, that's actually a screen, and that has its own screen handler. So it's actually doing its own logic. So if you want to modify what's going on in a menu, that's actually not hard. You just modify the single menu item that you want to modify. And if you need multiple modified menu items, you can have a bunch of dummy menu items or whatever and just call mod on them. The way to modify a menu item is, for example, in the mixer menu. That's probably a good example because that's the one this is where I actually developed the standard add-on thing. So you do an add-on start like this, and then you do whatever you want. And you tell it, this is a write justified add-on given this position from the right. So I need 11 spaces to insert this thing. So that's kind of what it's doing there, or I believe it's, yeah, write justified. And then you do whatever you want, and then you have to use menu add-on end. And what it does is it just so this particular thing is just a label, and then it maybe has a value on it. Oh, that's what gets called. So it's a submenu with this label and that callback, and then this is what gets printed there. Is the reason it's custom is because I'm actually printing two values in the menu that come from there, and we don't have like a printf kind of menu item style thing, so that's how we have to do it, is with this add-on concept. So the mixer menu is probably a good example of how to do weird customized menu items. When you want to have a variable number of items in the menu, look at the SD menu. That's more like the SD file menu. I don't know what I called it. Menu print or something. What did I call it? Let's see. And you have to also include menu add-on.h when you want to use that stuff. But yeah, so I guess maybe it's under the media menu. So yeah, this is where it's basically creating menu items from scratch and just giving you what looks like a menu, but it's actually a, faux menu. But you can see it's like here you have start menu, back item, is mounted, should draw, and then here's where it actually does the loop, printing all the menu items, but it only prints the menu items that are visible within the screen area. So it only has to do, a small number. So it says if menu, line number, and here it's just saying, am I on the line where it would want to print this file item? And if so, then get that file item. And so it actually does go through the loop of all the files for each time you want to draw the menu, but only draws what's visible and only fetches what's visible. So if you're using cached menu items, that helps a lot. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on there. Meanwhile, it looks like it could do this kind of thing. What is SD folder? It's a type of menu, yeah. So yeah, when you do menu items, you have to use the type of menu. So this is SD folder. So in this case, it's creating not only that, but it's a custom menu item type. So it actually has menu item underscore and then the type of menu item. So when you implement a custom menu item, that's how you do it. And you'll see it's being implemented right inside the CPP file because that's not used anywhere else. So the SD menu is a good place to look for making your own menu items, and the mixer menu is the place to look for customized menu items that are sort of built on a fixed system. But the cool thing is, yeah, you can have as many menu items as you want. And this demonstrates how to do it. And then again, should draw. It only will do it if it's should draw. Otherwise, it skips that part. And of course, should draw is like, am I in the right menu slice? And you could also do additional things like, checking to see if the thing is actually within the part of the screen that's being drawn, which you don't necessarily have to do unless you want to deal with the graphical displays. But I do have to deal with graphical displays here and there, so that's why, but it depends on your own implementation, your own Marlin UI implementation. In this case, the graphical display has that feature, that weird behavior of stripes, so we just had to do that. All right, let's clean up this more RTS checks and see what we got. And I'll get to the point where I can eventually bring this up to date. So here we have change page font here again. So, okay, don't know why that's there. Oops. Right, so here I'm going to say this is, I don't know, stepper max timed out, error 201, cool. All right, so we'll do this. RTS, and this is called stepper timeout error, I guess, for now. So yeah, it's interesting that it doesn't call kill, whereas normally it would. But that's a behavioral decision about the printer, which I know it's like if you have an option that enables a particular display, you don't expect your safety behaviors to change necessarily. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. Lord knows I'm going to be keeping an eye on a lot of things, and yeah, Lord knows. And by Lord, I mean Elon Musk, of course. So here we have, what does this one do? This one is doing some magic, and then, oh yeah, I also want to make sure that when these things are called, they actually have access to the data they're referring to. That'd be nice. Let's try and do a quick build. And we'll see what we end up with. So this one is pause print. So do I need to do RTS check here? It looks like it's doing update temperature at that point. Why 170? Should be thermal manager, temp hot and target, something like that. And that's unusual. See, again, this is like behavioral changes, which is really annoying. um, okay. We'll go with 170. Sure. And there was also up here. In this case, this is just doing a pause. I want to say RTS pause. We're going to go with RTS pause to print, I guess. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really liking the Ender-5 S1 as a general machine. I think it's pretty cool. I like the fact also that it's not Core XY for the moment, because I can debug input shaping without having to worry about Core XY stuff. And that'll be fun. So, okay. Protein print, there we go. All right, cool, that takes care of that file. Next, we have that, which obviously, Crowley RTS, okay. With power loss recovery, it does a little extra, definitely mount the card beforehand. That's fine. I see it's just being extra stingy to make sure that it gets it, which is all well and good. But sure. Sure. It's the sound of the mastodon informing me of things. Always a nice sound. What, did someone subscribe? There we are. So here we have, it's setting, it's starting out with the current temperature. Oh, I see, temp hot. Okay, I see. It is a thing here, so yeah. I have access to it, that's fine. And then it's sending it, and it's, again, it's doing a different kind of paused thing here, I think. But this is inside of filament runout, okay. Let's say RTS filament ran out. Yeah. So be it. So yeah, if there is a target over 0, then we save it, which is interesting. Like, if it's not set, what if it was, you know, set to some old value, and then but the target is not, and then so you're going to get that old value. So I don't know, it's all a matter of order. So yeah, we can do this here. And yeah, you can kind of see extensible UI is doing its thing, and it's called on filament runout, and it does some other things, remembers which tool, because actually that's important for some things. It looks like RTS check is just going to always assume you, for the moment, that you only have one extruder. Okay, so here we have Ender-5. And maybe there's some reason I needed that to stay, I don't know. But we'll see. Okay, so we'll call this and it does have this thing called cloud print, which I don't think this particular printer supports out of the box, but there's some kind of peripheral you can add, I guess. Let's see, a char array that gets filled on host action request. So on menu enter, it has to request once and then somehow start drawing on the flag raised. Let's see, what is should draw? It's just a flag. No, it's a function. So should draw is just returning LCD draw update is not 0. So, and then you can call refresh on a screen to get it to set that so that it forces the screen to redraw. And that just sets that flag, so your menu handler will see that it should draw at that point. So this is, I guess, yeah, we're deep into my code here that's been modified in weird ways. Interesting stuff going on here. Yeah, it's still, I see a lot of what could be modifications to standard code, so I really want to make sure. Yeah, it looks like maybe it's their own thing. I don't want to get too deep into this because it's more custom code that I may not necessarily need, but we'll see. Since the thing doesn't do folders, that's one of the, I mean, clearly it hasn't been using our standard methodologies. So I got to kind of bring it to the point where it's using our standard methods. So this is, okay. Well, it's a file. It's there for your usage if you want to use it. It's there so you don't have to make your own. And actually, it's got a bit mask actually, or I don't know if it's got a bit mask, but it's got values. So there's like update now, update once. Just call, there's a flag so you can like just have it call the method but not actually update the screen. So it'll call your screen handler but it won't have the update flag set. So you can do your logic but not update the screen unless you need to after that. But also within your own handlers you may want to set the flag as a reminder to yourself that the screen needs to be updated. So the flag is there for internal usage within the menu itself as well if you need to. And there may be some case for that. But generally speaking, I mean, we're talking about an encoder, so if it's been called, then the encoder has either been turned or clicked at that point, or you've set up a timer or an option to, like, periodically update the screen, which could happen as well. That's fine, all well and good. Okay, so file's finished, gets all this. And I need to know what this is about. It's doing a serial, and I guess I got to figure out whether it's all this serial stuff's getting sent to the screen every time. Or if this serial is just going out to the console. I think it's meant to inform the host that the print was completed, but it's a new command that was added for this particular display, so it's doing its own thing. It's got a lot of RTS check nonsense in it as well. And this thing wouldn't even be in here if it wasn't for, let's see, this is cloud print statistics, so yeah, that's what that's about. And number 4 means print the cloud print stop, I guess. Okay. Right. So yeah, that's the kind of thing that's going on there. So I don't know. Might move that, but we'll see. Elements of that will probably be moved, but yeah, it's eventually I'll catalog and itemize what it is that was modified and added and tweaked here. What is kind of, what didn't Marlin have that they needed to add to support their needs. how much of that is done already, how well does it fit what they need, you know, what we've done already. Um, and I kind of get it. I mean, China is a bit out of the loop in a sense with the rest of the project because, you know, like, I mean, I see people from all over the world on Discord and other places and discuss stuff, but I hardly ever see anyone from China hanging around there. And so it's like, in some sense, it's like we never really get a chance to confer and work on things together. But hopefully, it'll change over time. I have my connections, and New Year's is still I guess, another couple weeks. What is it, 20th? Yeah, so we've got 2 weeks of New Year's still to go. So maybe after that. Continuous play. Cloud. Yeah, so there's cloud printing, all kinds of interesting things going on. So I guess that's on the controller itself. Right, process subcommands now. Yeah, I didn't do all the F-string stuff yet in this particular instance. So where were we? All right, there's some RTS check in here. How's our build go? Oops. You probably saw that. Before I did. Okay, next. As a member in static member function. Okay. Where did I put it? Here? Okay. What was that? Line 192? Yeah, sure enough. Okay. Hello. Oh, I guess maybe it's the first place it shows up. You gotta declare these things. Actually gotta make them all static, right? Should all be static. We only have one of these, so. That should save a little bit of space, make it a little bit more efficient. Know this operator on, or a parameter to every call, which you don't need. So where were we? Oh, right. Z coordinate offset. Really? It's a float? That's funny. And what? It's not ever even used, so what the hell? key. And let's see. Oh, look at all this send datas. All well and good. Oh, WebDAV. That's pretty cool. I imagine WebDAV would be pretty easy to implement, relatively speaking. It's just it's file sharing or file using your standard get post stuff over HTTP. Remember, actually, I don't know if it's still true, but you used to be able to connect to WebDAV through your Finder on Mac OS 9, and some point with Mac OS 10 probably. I don't remember if I had to add a WebDAV file system add-on or something to do that. I think I did at that time. It was like a plug-in for the Finder or something. And yeah, sure enough, you could actually... Let's look at all these things. Z probe, Z offset, what is that? Float. Yeah, so it's sort of like this E3V2 DWIN. It's similar to this in some ways. I may need to find out where these kind of line up, but it's definitely not. I mean, it's bike reality, I guess, as it were, so that probably explains why it has a similar flavor. And then we have RTS send data and line 213. Let's see how our build works now that I've done all these, screwed it up so much. Let's see. We've got line 215 of that. What? Okay. That's funny. Check key equals I, which is an int. Hey. So that's interesting. Line 215, it doesn't like it. Why? Send data. A lot of RTS send datas here. Interesting. And interesting. Oh, I see FH1, FH2, and interesting. Okay, I'm just curious about what that was. What was that all about? Oh wait, what's this? FH1, FH2. Oh yeah, there we are. Standard commands. So yeah, that's the protocol for this thing. It has a few things going on. It's got FH1, FH2, whatever those are. There it is, OX5A followed by OXA5. Oh, that's interesting. 0101, 1010, 1010, 0101. Binary. And then 3 plus length. I would think that would be OX03, but I guess not. Oh, it probably refers to like the first 2 bytes in front and then a 0 behind or something. Who knows? Well, anyway, why is that not working? Line 215. Oh, that's why. Because it's not what it's supposed to be. Okay. And same here. Okay. There's a few. They all have RTS check in front of them. So I think we might be safe now. Let's find out. Okay. Making a lot of changes. I should check every so often, just make sure I'm not completely screwing things up. Okay, so back to G29. This is kind of where I wanted to go. So here we have kind of an RTS heaters off kind of thing. Again, I don't see this as being something I want to keep standard, but I kind of see what it's doing there. And I guess it makes sense to like restore the heaters to what they used to be, but I'd be surprised if we didn't already do that. I mean, the whole point of heaters off is not to probe the bed when it's cold. It's to just get rid of noise from the heater while you're probing in case it would interfere with your probe reading. So yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of cleanup that's going to come following this, for sure. Go to 0. Maybe. You don't always want to go to 0. But yeah, I could definitely see improving the user experience of this machine in various ways. And now that I've got one, and I think it's going to be one of my favorite printers once it gets tuned, I'm definitely going to keep tuning it. So keep an eye out for that. Hopefully a lot of that will happen before I get a copy off to Creality to publish. And I'm hoping that Creality will take it and put it up on their website as an update, but I don't know. I've never known them to say, hey, here's an update for your firmware, and put out instructions for people on how to do that. So let's say probing heaters off, temp heaters pause, maybe? I'll go with probing pause, hot end, I'll just say. Now the thing is, you could also turn off the bed here, you guys. So you probably should be, because that's the point, is PWM interferes with the reading of the probe. And that was the whole point. So I don't know if that was made clear, but I'll try and clarify that in the settings later. So yeah. come back to them in a minute. Oops, this is a CPP file, so I do want this. All right, so we got all that. And I guess I should do the same for probing pause fans. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, everything's been localized here. All the variables have been, so why not the bloody methods? Guys and gals and attack helicopters, whoever else is out there. Yeah. And now we have this. Show count. I wonder what that is. Looks like it's part of the RTS stuff. Oh wait, no. Show count. Okay. I think this was a new addition, as I recall. And again, this can be done manually. The probing could be done step by step. So my thinking is it should be part of the ABL struct. Right, like that. See? So I'm not sure what show count refers to just yet. It's making some assumptions, I guess. There actually is, like, you can also, like, if you're doing manual probing with the step-by-step method, which is the probe manually version of, probe. I tried to make a probe that is basically just manual probing, and we call it a probe. But yeah, the idea is that when you do a paper test, it should just be another type of probe, right? Seemed like a good idea at the time. Smoothing the bottom left corner data. Yeah, if you say so. And then not probe manually. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. does this fit? Looks to me like these should be indented. Yeah, I thought so. So if not as printing, then do all this stuff. Okay. Why would it be printing in the middle of G29? I don't know. But sure. I suppose you could send it, well, I mean, if you send a G29 as part of your print, then you are printing, technically. So I don't know why it would care whether you were doing a leveling from a print job or doing a leveling outside of a print job, or whether the coders just didn't realize that you could be doing a G29 within a print job, or I don't know. There's no commentary here to explain. So I guess we try it with and without and just see what the difference is. But I'm gonna say RTS. What's this for? Percent data. I'm gonna say leveling update. I don't know, and we'll just send ABL show count over. After it's been updated, I suppose. And again, this is like plus plus. So if there's 1 point, then it would never, well, yeah, that would be, it would be 0 when it checks this. So yeah, that's okay, fine. Feeling like I want to do that, and also interesting that it's multiplying by 50, but it makes sense. It's times 100 divided by 2, basically. So, okay. And we also need a total. So yeah, refactor, essentially, if you ever wondered what refactor means, it means this kind of thing. I don't know where the word particularly comes from. I don't see any factors here. Okay. There you have it. So yeah, and here it's passing, both the X and the Y, which is handy for this. EXTUI actually just, it looks at both. I could look at what's the deal with our EXTUI in relation to this, actually. I'm curious. Um, and how's our build going? Up, timeline 255. Apparently, also a function. Somehow missed it. Yep. And 2692, which is probably a little later. Oh, yeah, we go. Yeah. What the? K1 shouldn't do that. I should say I'm trying to collapse just the first level, but like it's doing the wrong ones. Yeah, okay. It is each moment update. I don't know why it's outside the class. It might as well be in the class. It just makes it more convenient, Yeah, in fact, screw this. I'm not going to keep doing that. Get this each moment update thing, and also I'm sure I had a better name for each moment update at some point. There too, I guess. Okay. How close are we to building? Line 255 again. Yeah. Oh yeah, too many. It's just, why do they intermingle like this? Cut that out. And 2692 again. Right. Don't let me forget that part. Oops. Might help to not clear it while you're trying to look at the errors. Oh? Okay. RTS rec data line 3014. Sure. Debug print. All right. There is such a thing, apparently. Just not here. So what do we want here? I guess this. Comma 10. Not sure what that's supposed to be. Oh, that's base 10, I guess. Yeah, we're good. And this \r \n stuff is interesting. Don't know what this is about, but there it is. Yeah, looks to me like it's fairly useless. And then this. Do you want it to always be? Apparently. To-dos are easier to find. Sometimes editors will even make them conveniently highlighted for you. Interesting. There's a mention of the Surmoon VTUI. Don't know what that is. Get going home status. Go home done. It's a go home. All right, are we done with debug print? Let's see how our build goes. Cool thing with Marlin auto build is I didn't need to know much about this. It just bloody works. Oh, what's this? Oops. I've got that right? It was points, yes. Okay. Next. There is a G29 flag set by RTS itself. Okay, what else is this also? And auto bed level page. Well, look at that. It's got a function for it and everything. RTS. Is this leveling done or what? Yeah, it looks like it is. Leveling done. Well, no kidding. I wonder what that variable meant. Again, Comments like that are always funny. This comment is the name of the variable without the space. Okay. Apparently the variable name works. And then there's all this stuff, which is, yeah, your probing fans and your heaters off. So let's take those two things. Yes. Yeah, it sure looks like customizations to me. Oops, fans. Hello, there you go. These will be consolidated, no worries there. Oh, also, yeah, I see that. And probing heaters off, same deal. Yeah. Uh-huh. Is printing. Again, I don't know what they're trying to do here sometimes. Okay, wait for hot end. 0 or false? I have a feeling that's supposed to be false, yeah. Okay. Looks like a fairly common procedure. Might end up doing another handler. Sorry. Okay. So, fabulous. Let's see, resume. Interesting. And make sure I didn't remove things I shouldn't have there. What did I miss? Oh yeah, these. Oh right, okay. Of course. Right? Okay. Might have to take a break and get some more coffee in a minute. And use the old restroom. As you do. I'm only human. Let's see. So, let's see how our build is going. Sorry, it keeps going to the wrong app when I say switch. OBS for some reason is like my priority right now. It should be Sublime, back to VS Code, back to maybe GitHub Desktop. Those should be the three that I'm swapping around with here. Let's see. Oh, and that is count++. Read-only reference. Oh, did I make it a const? I did. Oops. Of course I did. So that's old habits die hard. Kind of thing. Okay, looks like we should have a successful build now. All right, continuing. RTS check dot stuff. All right, that takes care of most things. M220 has a little bit. What is it doing? It's sending the feed rate percentage, and then it's also, yeah, this serial stuff where it's printing it out. I am curious about what that is meant to be. Like, is that for the benefit, again, of like the cloud print or something? I mean, I'm not entirely sure. But let's do this. We'll say and I'll take my break in a sec. What was M220 again? It does a speed percentage. Oh yeah, feed rate, of course. And update, I guess. I'll go with that. And I guess we're going to have to pass some value, the feed rate percentage, which is a int16, I guess? Or is it? Oh, it's a uint16. Or is it? I don't know. I guess we have to look and see in M220. What does it think it is? It's an int16, okay. I guess we'll find out sooner or later what the deal is with the serial printing. There's some other things I can see here, like I know I've got this stuff already, like functions like this already are already in there. but only recent additions actually, like things like, am I above the target? Am I within the hysteresis? Some of those things have been there for a while, but little by little we're expanding the thermal utilities, I guess you could call them. Update feed rate percentage. There you go. So yeah, that's interesting. I mean, in general, I could see M220 does change the feed rate, but it also gets changed by the UI. So yeah, you want to be able to have that feedback there. And I do see that's interesting, is like we do not necessarily update the screen with the feed rate, but it automatically gets updated in the next 1 second when the status screen is on, because it updates every 1 second, and it'll draw the new value if it's new. So it automatically kind of handles that for the graphical and character display. For other displays, maybe not so much. It's up to them. So yeah, it makes sense to expand on these things. It's all a question of, like, again, standardizing some of these things. Like all these things, I'm sure on some level we have these in EXTUI. And oh yeah, I was going to check and see how much EXTUI is this thing anyway. Like, does it include anything EXTUI like? I don't think it does. And what kind of, display does it most closely resemble? All right, some more translations. And then a little more coffee. What time is it? 7-ish? All right, we're doing well. So yeah, Chuck did only a very short review. I was pretty impressed with the brevity. Other people have done much more thorough reviews. Aurora Tech is one of my favorite YouTube channels right now. As far as reviews, really thorough. Just they check a lot of things. Like, yeah, it's good to have a checklist if you're going to do any kind of reviews. Check those things like thermal runaway. Check and see how it behaves when you turn on power loss recovery, things like that. If this is not true and this is true, then we'll just assume that's true. If it's true and this is not true, then this is not true. Unless you're expecting it to change any second now. Meanwhile, if for some reason it suddenly became within the microsecond it took to get from here to here, now it's suddenly printing, then do this. Like, why? That doesn't make any sense. Oh wait, printing. I'm sorry. I for some reason saw these as the same thing, because I have the parsing ability of Zork. The first 6 characters are all that matter to me. Okay, how's our build going? Oh, we forgot to create a reference data for data buff and recdat. Oh, right, I have to declare these. Anything that's declared static in the class has to be also reflected in the later. So, yeah. Whoops. So I have all the data members in RTS show. So this one and this one and this one are all going to need, and size of data buff, nice. Oops. Yeah, static. Okay. Card reader.h. As long as that's included, you don't need to have the extern. So we can fix that. Should be good at this point. And it's good to have things like, extern if you need it, if you need to reference it and you haven't included the header. And you only need that one thing, you might as well just, but then of course, in that case, it's also defined as a class, which, oh, look, warning, multi-line comment. Oh, file has finished. Also not declared. Interesting. What happened there? Let's take a look. Was there a file has finished and I screwed it up? I don't see how. Let's see what's going on down there. I don't see a file has finished that I removed. Oh, wait, what's that? There is. File has finished. Oh, what's up with that? Okay. Don't know what's going on there. And then there's the cloud print complete stuff. This is really bugging me. I have a feeling these are important, so I don't want to remove them all. I'll have to go back and verify them later and just see what all the serial outs are as far as cloud printing goes. Like, my assumption is if you're cloud printing, it's still under the control of the machine, and it's not like you have to tell the cloud, hey. But maybe? I don't really know. But yeah, there is a Wi-Fi thing also involved. Anyway, how's our build? Can I build yet? Multi-line comments, always fun. Let's see. It's compiling, building, linking. Yay, okay. It actually built. Well, that's half the battle right there. Okay. Thank you for tuning in. I'll be right back. And I'll try not to mess things up too badly as I'm going. Let me know if I've screwed things up in the comments section. How am I doing? Did I screw it up totally? Is this going to be easy to bring over to Marlin 2.1.2, etc.? Find out. back. I'm back. I'm back to do some more coding. All right. We're almost there. We're almost there. The thing is, like, if the host sent an M220, it already knows it sent an M220. So why do we need to reflect that an M220, send that elsewhere? That doesn't make sense to me. And also, yeah, again, it's just serial out, which means, it's connecting to your host console. And I assume the Wi-Fi printing is some kind of host console kind of thing. So I guess it's probably connected. All right, almost done. Well, not quite. The printing results. Yeah, thanks. All over the code. So next we have M23. Okay, an M23. Open a file. Now I see all kinds of things going on here. M23 has been modified heavily, so I need to probably restore the original M23 code. Yeah, from before it was modified at all. And just make sure we have both. So let's see. Additions. Config. Support. Pre-built. Baby step. Oops, I'm going to have a sneeze in a second. I'm sorry. Coming, going. Okay. Here we are. M23 is going to have, yeah, it's all additions. And that's it. So we just basically move all the added code over. So yeah, it's all this stuff here. And we're going to say print starting. Void RTS print starting. And if power off, continue, return. Oh, yeah. File select, hello. Oh, it does use it afterward. Okay. For and file sum. Is that a thing? See, this thing, all this file handling in this is going to be, I'm going to rip out a lot of it because it's just not correct. There is runout sensor stuff in here, so that's good. It's already got references to it. Hello. Why did it go to Discord when I did that? Discord should be like in the black at the end of the pile right now. I don't know. printing started. Print starting, or printing started, I guess you could say. Anyway, I'll rearrange some of these soon. They have to be I'll group them in a little family. Like print starting should probably come before paused, right? And then I'll just, where are my additions? Did I make a little mark? Oh, I probably pulled it out, didn't I? But yeah, these are all mine, I think. Okay, M24. Oh, well, I guess I should clean this up before I'm done. I'm not quite done. So yeah, that's all right. Should have something similar here. Yeah, there it is. So this is going to be RTS, well, I'm going to say SD print starting maybe. SD, I don't know, maybe I'll do it that way. Okay. So this is going to be RTS. Print stop SD. I know SD, I should probably not use that because it's an assumption. We could be printing off a flash drive or something. Okay. And again, I don't know why it's starting the print job timer at that point. Or is it? Wait, M24, start or resume. Oops. Started. Oops. Let's see. Oh, wait. Print starting SD. Open file SD. Okay. Okay. Yeah, and that includes resuming, which is all well and good. All right. next. It was, I'm enjoying myself at the moment. It's just, it was painful the other day. Okay, this is 9:30. This is a new thing, so this is all kind of like part of something. This is all part of the oat value. What does that even mean? OAT value, I guess. Yeah, see, we actually have, this is all, you know, all over the place already, but this is the EEPROM that they re-implemented, which is already in here somewhere. So, gotta sort that out. Okay, putting away menu. So this, yeah, this is all new. So we're gonna put this in as, I don't know, how many things mention RTS check here? A lot of them do, and that's wrong. And I feel like these have to be debug. And I feel like our these have to go away. And okay, it looks like OTA, so that's over the air, in case you were wondering. Okay, I'm going to call this OTA printing, I think. This isn't well documented here at the moment. Oh, it's over the air update firmware. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. That's cool. That means, yeah, this presumably could end up being updated through automatically over the air for y'all. We don't need U8. It's already been defined for us, actually. And I'm going to put this in the configs, actually. And also, yeah, it's definitely something that I guess only some things can do. We'll see. This may be something where we already have code that does this kind of stuff, because we do have some kinds of options for upgrading the firmware here and there. Maybe not over the air per se, but once the file is on your SD card, all you have to do is do a reset. So that's kind of the idea. And that's what this does. It does a bring the file over and then do the reset. So yeah, I'm seeing some errors here. That's interesting. So this may be a thing where we end up with a general error handler instead of having to have this 3 calls here. So we'll find out what that is in a minute. Right, MC resets enters the bootloader. Oh right, I wanted to put this in the configs. Okay, oops. So I do believe we have similar, but something. But yeah, again, what? We'll see how it compares. to our own just copy and reset kind of concept. Put that away for now. There's so much going on there. Oh, also. Yeah, I sense this might have been the original. Well, that's always the question. How do you handle? I'll do handle. Okay, open file SD. How's our build? Still working, looks like. Good. Okay. So this looks to me like a motherboard upgrade. It's not really a, oh, I see, it does the screen too. That's interesting. That's very interesting, actually. It sets an update a flag. Sure. Right, and then it writes to EEPROM. So that, yeah, it kind of makes sense. You'd write to the EEPROM, reboot, and then you can recover the data that was there before you rebooted. That's kind of neat. Okay, so anyway, let's do this part. No? Okay. Maybe it's an int, we'll see. Oh, it's a string. All right. We'll have to work it out so that these are actual proper strings. Looks like we have a few of those. Error? No. Oh, wait, maybe. Yes. Sure enough. Oops, 1, 201. 3. Okay. Here we have more funky indents, that's fine. This one's not too bad. And 3 retries, that's cool. Interesting. Right, we have our own Z-probe stuff. Darn it, that's weird. So if not is nan measured Z, then give me a new measured Z, then make it nan, then do more stuff, then there's an RTS error. I see there's an interesting RTS error thing where it sets wait to 0, an error way to something. I don't know if that should be before or after. Right, set it to 0, wait way, error way, 1, okay. So yeah, it's got its own kind of, each one's going to be different. Meanwhile, temperature, lots of those. So here it's not actually using it. See what else is going on here. Exchange page and change the font. I don't know. I guess those probably aren't needed. My guess, again, is those are attached to a different model of printer. But you can immediately see like the reason for generalizing is like all this stuff, if you needed to, it's being reproduced line after line. It's like, yeah, okay, so you got to comment out these, comment in those every time you want to use it. That's not great. So, you know, just nice, just good practice, really. I'm sure internally they had their own reasons for following it the way they did, or maybe just ran out of time. Well, I'm telling you, I got the speed, guys. Keep me in the loop, and you know, I'll keep doing this stuff. I'm actually being pretty well supported by Creality right now, and I appreciate it. Allows me to focus on, you know, the whole project, and so I don't mind doing this kind of thing to some extent. I whine, but it's like, you know, I've definitely seen worse, believe me. Meanwhile, in Discord land, Merberg, host UI. I don't know much about host UI. Let's see. If IDX is less than 128, HF IDX, is that a thing? That's not in this particular bit of code here, so. I'm working with Marlin 2.0 today. I'll be working with Marlin 2.1 later if I can get this to nicely merge. We'll see. That's going to be a big if. But hostui.hf index. Huh? If inside directory, make an action item with the up item pointing to telling the host UI request parent, whatever that is. Host UI hf IDEX. Yeah, I don't know that much about that. Host UI select file. Okay. LCD stir folder gets attached to all items for some reason. Are they all being printed on the same line? And the folder is to the left of stuff, and then the stuff that is getting printed, like, well, the first two do. Let's see, the one that has the parent is got a folder on it, and then the one that's got a $sign with the file name under select file, that's getting a folder. And then the third one, probably you want to have a couple spaces in front of it so that way it'll erase any previous folder that might have been sitting there. So I'd say instead of HF name F quote $sign, maybe HF name F quote space $sign. And then maybe that'll just make sure to erase any previous folder that was drawn. Although you would think if it was just the file name, it would just do what it's going to do. But maybe there's some weird special handling there where the folder, if it sees a folder icon, it's one to the left of where it would normally print. I don't think so, but... or maybe the folder, being a weird character, is like wider or something, or weirder. I don't know. I mean, that's the kind of bug where it should be fairly obvious. My guess is there's, like, is it less than 128? Maybe it's seeing everything as a folder. That's most likely it's just always less than 128. It could be that your IDX is unsigned, or is it signed rather? If it's signed, then it'll always be less than 128, unless it's, wait, let me think. Yeah, it'll never be over 128 if it's signed. So make sure your HF IDX is an unsigned value. That would be my guess, is maybe what's going on there. That's the only bug I can see, is it's probably a signed and it should be unsigned. You could also just check bit 7. Again, the way you're doing the folder icon stuff, there's no reason for that. Unless you're somehow mucking up your IDX or something. But what I'm seeing here is, you know, it may be that there's something funky about action item F. So maybe you want to wrap all those action item Fs in braces so that it's not falling through weirdly. I mean, you got a macro inside with no braces around it. It's probably not safe. You should put a brace around each of those conditions. If host UI is 0, brace, skip item, close brace. Else, if 1, open brace, action item F, blah, 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 close brace. Else if. So put braces around those things too. Put braces around them, make sure the index is unsigned. Those are the two things I can see that would be potential problems without looking at the code. Yeah, it's just it's one of those dangers. You never know what a macro is. It could have an else if else in it with no braces, and then you'd end up with an else clause doing the wrong thing. So the thing is, it's not like a folder icon inside of a string sets a flag somewhere so that everything else that follows it is going to have a folder on it. No such thing. Yeah, char. No, it shouldn't be char. It should be uint8. And also, if it's never going to be more than 255 if it's only 8 bits. So, you know, there's no reason to check for it being less than 250. Well, I guess 255 is a special value. Is that what you're saying? So I'd say not equal to 255 rather than. Well, I guess there's well, you got 0, you got 1, you got less than 128, and then you got less than 255. So I'd just say not equal to 255, or not even. Since apparently you've got that as a special value. 255 is a special value that means something. So anyway. Anything else? Let's see. Yeah, it should be unsigned. Because again, it's always going to be less than 128. Again, braces and sign. Just make sure of those two things. I don't know what else you can check. Use the debugger. Hook up your ST-Link to your board, whatever it might be, and run it in the debugger in VS Code, and then you'll be able to see what's going on. Put a breakpoint there. It's easy. Just put a break. Yeah, it's easy. Just put a breakpoint in. No problem. All right, I think I got most of the RTS check crap there. So let's see, what's M72? Oh, did I get this out already? No, this is new. So this is this unique to it? What is M72 normally? It's nothing normally, isn't it? What is this M72? Is that an addition? I guess it might be. Hello, GitHub Desktop. Sure enough, it's a brand new thing. It's a brand new thingy. Oops, 3. Okay. So, yeah, this is going to be... For now, this is associated completely with chirality. So... Okay, I'm going to say opened file, maybe. I guess SD-ish. it seems like it's just an alias. So, like it's the same as M24, essentially, or M23, rather. Possibly. I mean, I've got to compare the two, but I mean, they're very similar, aren't they? They're almost identical, really. That's funny. Yeah, essentially it's just M23, almost identical. What's the difference? Oh, this has a filament runout sensor thingy, and that's it. It sets filament ran out. Okay. And this one calls open file SD. I guess, yeah. So it's the same bloody thing. It's just almost certain that's in there, right? Yeah, there it is. It's false. If power off, continue, return. Yeah, it's all the same. So M72, let's just make it an alias for M23 and delete this thing. Because it is bloody the same. Cloud print? It's like it's doing the same bloody thing, so I don't know. I don't know why it would matter. For now. We'll associate it with this, but I know that there's probably going to need to be an extra feature or something, or some other flag that associates it. But I don't see any difference between this and M23, but let's take a closer look at what this bit does. Okay. Ah, that's different. Cloud name lang. Oh wait, it's the same here too, isn't it? Even though it was M23, it had the same bloody thing. Cloud name blah. Okay. Weird. I don't know what's going on there. Break. Okay. Card show file name, file select, cloud name len, break. File select. Oh, right. Nope, not quite. Not quite. Let's see. Plus plus. Oh, yes. Okay. So what does it do here? It checks to see if it compares, and then it does a break. Okay, so yeah, I pretty much see the same thing happening here. I don't see that these are very different from each other. Yep, sure enough. So that's interesting. What? Ah. Char, not braces. Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, it had to be one or the other. It seemed like, signed would not be good. So, yeah. All right, have good rest. Yeah, it's Gremlin's on the other side of the world. Or at least, far enough away that it's late. Let me check my world clock. It's 2 a.m. in London, 3 a.m. in Berlin. So yeah, we'll see what that's all about. Opened file SD. Did I call that from somewhere? Surely I did. Print started SD. Oh, I guess I never did create a thing called opened file SD. I don't know if I had planned to. But when? Don't want to look there. Certainly not there. So yeah, this is not a bad way to kind of like find a way to settle on a new API. Just moving things over as needed. So M936 is the OTA thing. Okay. Again, I don't know how much the cloud stuff is going to really matter today. Okay, there's your update feed rate. There's your homing. Leveling. Filament ran out. Reheat hot end. Yeah, okay. So mostly looking pretty good. RTS error. Build. Almost there. So we got our RTS error, which is great. Let's just move that up here. Yeah, I can't believe they duplicated so much code all over the place. That's funny. It's like you got one routine that could be taking care of all these things, but you're putting these like 3 very specialized lines all over the place. Okay, debug echo line pgm M936. M936. Okay. I think that should be OTA actually. And it's not value Celsius. What are you doing? Unless, yeah, no. Motherboard upgrade. D-Win upgrade. Error 206. Let's see what that looks like. OTA update screen. Wait. Yeah, so it's not really an error. It's just a message. It's just a message. Nozzle heat escape. So that's like basically too cold. Nozzle thermal abnormality. Okay. No bed heating. Hot bed heating escape. Escape. Failed. And abnormality. Okay, good. Okay. All good. Error 201, E201. Naturally. Too much inactive time. It's like a timeout, in other words. Stepper timeout. Interesting. All right, cleaning up here. Reviewing changes. I think we've done a good job of reviewing these. I'm just going to hold on to that. So, let's see. This shouldn't be too hard to bring over. There's not, I mean, there's a few obtrusive things, but that'll be the next trick. So, okay, let me temporarily undo this, and then I'm going to skip some things. Let's see, so we do have a recovery flag. Might as well leave that as it is, because it's just distracting. ABL show count, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to deal with that. That's new and unique. Oh, oh yeah, okay, that's taken care of. Interesting. Set and report him as an identical line, but it doesn't see it as that being after that. That's interesting. Oh, I see why. Hey. There we go. Interesting. So it seems to be assuming there's C-safe homing at least, which kind of assumes that it's doing, well, I guess it wasn't doing probing, homing with probe, so usually that's only needed for when you're homing with the probe. Oh, it's just Chinese version of what I said. Oh. Okay, interesting. Yeah, there's various things here which are probably overkill, but we'll see. Again, temperature is being included, which I don't know if that's necessarily needed for the additions. I see settings, sure. Settings, yes, but come on. Let's see how our build goes. Okay, maybe not. Oh, what's that? Error 205 forbids converting a string constant to char. Okay, I see. Well, we can fix that. How we doing? Sure, keep that. M2900 report leveling grid to whom? Okay, oops, G28. What? So did they make their own S parameter for some reason? Okay. What's this home flag stuff here? Yeah, so home flag is false. RTS move axis homing. Go home equals done. And when's that? That's after the L64. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. That doesn't really matter. So I think like this should be just up with the rest of the stuff. Set and report Goebbels state, right? Yeah, we don't necessarily need that. So I'm going to go with this, and we're going to say what else? Okay. It's just that the, I don't know if these messages are absolutely necessary to be sent to serial, but and inside of a G28, actually, you don't have to process subcommands now per se. This, well, let me see what M420 would do when you change the leveling. Yeah, it does a bit more. There's some extras here. But yeah, you can also just call it. Not that I recommend it, but yeah, you could just say gcode.m420 and, but it won't get the parameters, so that's important. Okay, reviewing again. This stuff, oh, what did I miss? Can home has got some things. Define can home. I see, they messed with my can home. That's not cool. So what else? Oh yeah, there it was. Yeah, it's been all commented out and stuff. And that's where the problem lies. So yeah, motion's been messed with. Don't mess with my motion, guys. Come on. Well, let's clean up and then I'll come back. First start equals false. First start recovery check. If recovery valid, first start equals true. Okay. Interesting. So there is actually recovery from the flash drive in a different way, which is cool. I think that's something I've never seen before. I assumed it would just work from the same code. And here we have some minor additions. Oh, there's power off, continue. No? I did that already. Let's see. From where? From Q? Let's see if it's the same thing. It just sets power off, continue to false, and that's it. Nope. Sure. Key. And I think I may just make another little one for this, because it's just a little weird. So what is this? This is if is nan, so I'm gonna have to say, we'll call it RTS probing failed. Update the position, please. Okay. All right. Yeah, I see. There's some it's a bit of a mess there. Now I basically want to use as much of the standard code as I can, and I don't see any reason to go crazy just because there's a particular display. And I don't see why Creality can't use the stuff that we have with refinements. If refinements are needed, maybe you need an extra flag or something, but we should figure out a standard, since it may be something that's might end up being something that's common. Everyone needs. So yeah, there's your probing heaters off stuff. So again, I don't see why we have to set fan speed here. We're gonna have to figure that out. This kind of stuff should just not be part of the logic of the screen, you know what I mean? So still heating. Degree target hot end is greater than hysteresis and the difference is greater than hysteresis, then it's still heating. So is the hot end target minus that greater than the window? And what is temp window? So much to review. And actually it's hysteresis, not window. And that's, same idea. Oops. Temp window 1, really? Temperature proximity for temperature reached timer, I see. But the hysteresis is a little different. So I'm going to say minus is greater than the window. So in other words, the heat, current temperature minus the target is greater than the window. So it's not at its target, which could be cooling or heating at this point. I might just go with still heating. Is heating hot end? Target is greater than. That's all that is. Is cooling. So yeah, I don't have a still cooling. I guess that's something we forgot. Or never needed. Is preheating. Okay. I don't know, I feel like that should just be still heating, frankly. Right, probe, chamber. and not wait for heat up. Oh. Is this like its own version of wait for heat up? I guess. While hmm. It's interesting, yeah. But it's doing both. It's still doing it. It waits for heating and then it does wait for heating again. So I don't know. There's probably a reason. There's yeah. Okay, last temperature equals. Weird stuff going on out there. Bed temp disp. Turn off the fans. Oh, clearly. Disable all heaters. Okay, right. Probing heaters off. Does all that here. Inside of what is this doing? This is the handled data. Okay. BL touch. What's it doing? If the heater's off, blah blah blah, then it does all that. Well, it doesn't need to do that actually. This is all handled at the time of probing. So I don't think you would necessarily want to do this here. But check it out. I think actually if I do this, it should do the thing. It should do the right thing. Temp hot, set hard time, and then, oh, there it is. It calls RTS send data. So yeah, it is all the same. Yeah, if you really wanted to do it that way. Oh, you don't even have to do that. You can just do that because it's already there. By the way, any more of those? Oh, there's one. Well, I guess we'll see what that's all about. Here's the problem though, is if you do pause and then you call these, it's going to have them paused and therefore it's going to resume with a 0 temperature because it will have paused twice. So, gotta think about that. I'm feeling these are not needed here, so In any case, this is also turn off the hot end, turn off the bed, and set the fan speed high. So that's a major cool down right there. So that's kind of handy, I suppose. Then we have clean. Gotta clean. Constantly cleaning. Let's see. That's right. Editors are getting generally better at autocomplete, but I'm all about Copilot. I like that thing. GitHub Copilot is pretty cool. So cool. All right. So I think we're consolidated pretty well here. We're getting there. Oh, what's this? Default nozzle temp. Is that a thing? It is a float, therefore yes. Right. Let's see, is that defined here? That is actually. X, Y, and Z, but you could have, oh, and also E. Also, when is it defined by settings? DMF. Right. And that is defined as motion planner. Planner, right. And it is a feed rate type, actually. So any of these XYZEs or anything? No, they're all like, yeah, that's true, because we have the distinct axis stuff, huh? Okay. Again, I don't know why these are here. There are ways to reset this stuff. Like, if that's what this is about, like reset settings, I could just call, you know, settings reset, settings save. But I guess this wants to send them somewhere to the UI, I guess. Oh yeah, it makes sense. The UI has all its own storage of this stuff. So it's not, yeah, it's not entirely under the control of Marlin, but it's very much under its control. And I'm really sure I can get that that LCD file listing stuff. I mean yeah, the SD file listing stuff to work better. Right now it is unfortunate that it doesn't do what I want. All right. Done pretty well here. Need to take another break, so I will actually end the stream here. But I may pick up a little bit later on. We'll see. But yeah, hey, thanks for stopping by, everybody. 5 a.m. in Gremlins territory. Scrolling with lazy loading tomorrow. Nice. Although, yeah, I mean, with SD file listings and stuff, that kind of lazy loading is already there. And you don't have to build your own. We've already got code in there to support fetching the names of the files in alphabetical order and all that kind of stuff. So just follow the, imitate what the code that's already there is doing for the file listings and other stuff, and we should be good. Oh, and let's see, temperature CPP. Well, I might as well do this just before I go. Everything saved. Right. Okay. And okay. Max temp error. Twin. And let's do this. If has hot end or has heated bed, then do these things. And we'll do that. And do that. Okay. And same deal here. Oh. Right. Next. Good. 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 All right. Clean. Nice and clean. Oh, what's this one? If. Else. Yeah, that makes sense. If, elif. Okay, fine. Don't usually like to keep too many one-liners in there, but whatever. Looking pretty clean generally. We're definitely getting there. Has fan 0? What? Cloud 0 fan speed? What are you talking about? Oh, look at this. This is definitely getting into like, yeah, some of that serial stuff that I messed with, the change to debugs is going to definitely is part of protocol or the protocol of this stuff. So I'll be looking it over to understand their protocol, but this is, again, I want to say Creality Cloud make that an option here. Cloud-based. Yeah, so a lot of this is going to be, I'll have a Creality Cloud thing you call, and if it exists, then it gets the stuff, and if it doesn't, then it just becomes nothing. So that'll be fun. So anyway, yeah, gonna go take my break. I need it. Get a walk in, and I will see you all real soon. Thanks everyone. I hope this ends up making your Ender-5 S1s way better when it's all ready. Especially the input shaping stuff, which I haven't even gotten too heavily into discussing yet, but that's going to be fun. That's going to be one of the first things I do when I start my printing tests. Will be, of course, printing the calibration object and, you know, checking the level and figuring out the right setting and getting rid of that ghosting, and then trying for the high speeds. So we'll see how that runs, how that run works when I